If you got Toyota Sienna basic model as I do, I have 2014 Toyota Sienna L, means basic model, and it doesn't have a courtesy light in the front doors. So I decided to buy courtesy lights and put them in instead of these red reflectors inserts. The one I bought from Amazon, they look absolutely the same, the size the same, and they can fit to the door inserts. These courtesy lights which I bought from Amazon, I bought them specifically with wires, since Toyota Sienna basic model doesn't have actually the connector which can be connected to the courtesy lights, so I need to figure out myself how to connect these courtesy lights, and I figured the best way to do it is just to buy these connectors male-female with wires and connect them to the courtesy lights. I just gotta find plus 12 hot wire somewhere in the door and the ground which would help me to disconnect these courtesy lights when door is closed. It would be on the door switch. When you close the door, the ground will be disconnected and the light will be off. Since Amazon posted the note that this wiring is polarized, I had to make sure myself if this wiring is really polarized. Simple box made in China. Simple instruction, which says nothing about the polarization. Okay, red to red, black to black. Here you go, right? Now I switched. Now black goes to the red and red goes to the black. I still show the same. So if there is polarity, it should be like open line. Fast forward in steps, I just want to show you that when I connect the ground of the courtesy light, which is black, to the positive terminal, which is located on the driver's door master switch connector, and I connected the red wire on the courtesy light to the ground of the door, the light still works, which means there is no polarity on these courtesy lights, regardless that website posted that there should be polarity. Since my 2014 Toyota Sienna doesn't have courtesy lights, but a third party still sell this one. They have also standard connector like this one, which can be connected to the courtesy light connector in the car in the door, but since I don't have it, I need to find either connector like that and connect somewhere in the door to the power supply, or actually I found third-party connector also. It comes with in pairs, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut this thing off and solder it to the third-party connector, and another part of third-party connector I'm going to solder to the power supply in the door. One would go to the constant 12 volts and another would go to the ground, the breaker switch, because next time when I want to remove the plastic panel of the front door, I can disconnect these two connectors. I got this male and female connectors along with wires 18 gauge. They're good for 12 to 24 volts, and also bought the wires 18 gauge for wiring female connector to the power supply for the car. The male connector goes to the courtesy lights, so next time it would be easier to replace if I'm gonna solder it to the new one. And female connector is going to be wired to the power supply in the door. I can solder it right now, then cut the necessary lengths later on. I'm not sure if any comments required for removing the panel of the front door. This plastic prying tool is not really helpful to remove the front door panel, so it's better to use the screwdriver. You gotta pull this cover up, but first you need to remove this triangle plastic insert. This door handle is supposed to stay on the panel, but somehow it detaches by itself like that very easily. Here is the reflector inserts where a courtesy light is supposed to go, but there is no actually wire. The harness with yellow connector is airbag sensor, so do not mess up with this wiring. There is no plus 12 volts on this harness anyway. This connector goes to door control panel, so I checked each wire for 12 volts. To my surprise, the white wire is actually hot wire plus 12. Usually it would be red wire, but not in this case. At this orientation the white wire is on the very right. There is another white wire with black strip, but this is not it. I even confirmed that this is going to work by connecting the plus 12 hot wire to the courtesy lights and another one to the ground. And it works. So this thing goes in the panel of front door. And another connection I soldered to the wire. I need to measure how much I need if this wire would go through this door lens, then would go through this part of the door behind the chassis, and it would go here all up to this door switch, which connects the ground wire to the chassis when door is opened. This rubber grommet goes through the door. It goes behind this speaker and it's on my way. I'm going to disconnect it. 10 millimeters socket cam. Oh yeah, it was held by nothing, just stuck there. Okay, now I have a better access to this thing. I'm going to take out this thing. It turns out that rubber is pretty soft and it wasn't a hard thing to do. Then I'm going to have to remove a couple of plastic panels to gain the access to the cable which goes to the door switch. I'm going to remove this panel to get better access to the harness where I'm going to run the wire. It's actually not hard to remove. There you go. Estimated length of wiring roughly about maybe 3 meters. Because it goes here, it's about 1 meter, it goes here about 1 meter, and a little bit for the reserve lens, and here, and hanging down here. 16 gauge steel wire which I bought from Walmart, something like for $2, can help me to run the wire through this grommet to catch up the cable with wiring on this side of chassis, then run through the shielding. I disconnected this door retainer to get more access to the grommet with harness. It doesn't look much at first look, but it actually helps you to open door a little bit more. Okay, I pull out this grommet from the chassis, just enough to see some insertion point hole. I'm gonna run the wire through this hole, because anyways it goes inside of chassis, so it wouldn't be exposed to the environment. Then I'm gonna catch up the wire on another side. It is a good idea to make a loop at the end of this wire, so you wouldn't poke this grommet when you're going to run the wire through it. I secured my wiring with tie wraps to existing harness. From there, the wire inserted in the grommet and goes along with this wiring behind this wall. And it goes from behind this wall along with this wiring here, here, and here is the loose end which goes to the courtesy light. Then I have to put the grommet back. And this is probably when you appreciate the benefit of disconnected door retainer, because you're gonna have more room to put this grommet back. I've attached my wiring with tie wrap to the existing harness. I'm going to put the cover back. detail discovered. Cable, the wire, it even can go through these sheaths inside. I need to remove this thing. I didn't actually need to unscrew this thing to gain the access behind this cover to this cable, because inside of this shield, the wire shield, there is only one wire, and this wire goes actually to the switch. What it does, it disconnects the ground. When I close the door pushes the bottom and disconnects the ground to courtesy lights. So I soldered the black wire to the door ground wire which goes to the switch, and since the red wire doesn't go anywhere, I still have to isolate it to avoid accidental short circuit. And of course I need more electric tape. And then I figured it would be a good idea to attach the knot why this black wire was soldered to the wire which goes to the door switch. So since I have connected the ground wire, now I need to connect hot wire, which is on this harness is white. Here you go, the positive plus 12 from master switch door connector, which is white, is connected to the courtesy light, which is red. And since the door is opened, it means the ground wire goes directly to the chassis, and once I connect the courtesy lights, it's just going to light up. And once I close the door, the courtesy light is going to switch off. And all you have left is just put everything back together. And this is how things for courtesy lights were done for the driver's side. For the passenger side, things go a little bit different. Okay, on the passenger side, it's pretty much the same process. One was here, and another screw bolt is located here. And one bolt on the side. There you go. Like that. There's a top here because it's not glue. It's just stuck in there, kinda. But difference is between the driver's side and the passenger side. On the passenger side, it is easier to access to the harness which goes to the grommet. There is no plastic cover like on the driver's side, but there is a glove compartment on the passenger side which you don't have to remove because you can easily access to the harness from behind under this glove compartment. Pull out the grommet first. So there we go. Push it down as far as you can. So now I ran it through in the opening of this grommet. Need to pull it out and insert it in the chassis. In the chassis hole. Need to remove this plastic cover. It come out right here. So this where it goes. The wire goes to the rubber grommet, through this grommet into the chassis hole. On the glove compartment, you don't need to remove it. that's where it goes. Through this harness, along with this harness again. Then I'm going to tie it up. It's tied up. I'm going to tie it up to this harness. I'm going to run it along with this cable right to this switch. Tie it up in the tie wraps. It goes along with this harness. Goes here, here, and goes outside. Then I tie these tie wraps to the harness here. Then it goes to this cable inside of this sheath. So I put it inside. It goes here, and I need to solder it to this wire. And I'm going to solder the red wire of the courtesy lights to this green wire, which is supposed to be plus 12, and this green wire goes to the connector which goes to the window regulator switch on the switch panel from the passenger side. But here is the thing: when I tested the wires for plus 12 hot wire on the harness from passenger side door, in one of these wires I found this green wire which goes to the Windows regulator switch. The thing is, I connected the ground of multimeter to the door, but then when I soldered the black ground wire from the courtesy light to the ground wire which goes to the door switch ground wire, suddenly multimeter showed me not plus 12 but plus 8 volts. That made my courtesy light much dimmer. When I turn on the key, ignition key, in the position 2, this green wire is supplied by plus 12 volts, and only then from passenger side courtesy light light up in full. But I can live with this, so I continue with wiring. Soldering the black ground wire for courtesy lights. There is no use in red wire, it's for harness reinforcement only in this case. And since I ran this red wire along with the other harness for reinforcement only, I'm going to use only the part which goes to the courtesy light connector. So I have to cut the other part which used for reinforcement of this wiring. So this end of the red wiring goes to the courtesy light connector, and the other end of red wire goes nowhere because it was used only for the physical reinforcement of the black wire which went to the door switch ground, but I still have to isolate it. And the plus 12 hot wire from the door is going to be soldered to the red wire of the courtesy lights. There is the black heat shrink on the red wire, so I'm soldering to the red wire with black heat shrink on it. Let's check the courtesy light, and as you can see, it's not very bright in the daytime, and I mentioned the reason why is that until I turn the ignition key to the position 2, and it becomes really bright even in the daylight. It happens only on the passenger side. On the driver's side it's always plus 12 and it's always bright. I couldn't find another plus 12 hot wire on the passenger side. It is what it is, but it works. Okay, let's put everything back. Quick assembly. And this is how it would look from the passenger side. Partial parking spot. It's not too bright, but it's just enough to see the door is opened. This is how a courtesy light would look from the passenger side. It's dark outside now. It's not very bright, but it's recognizable that the door is opened. From the driver door, from the driver's side, the light is very bright. If I turn the ignition in position 2, courtesy light on the passenger side actually pretty bright. It's kind of getting even. On the driver's side, and on the passenger side, works for me.